Elise, I got to tell you something. My mom, she just hates tattoos. This 90-year-old woman, and I don't know what to do with that. Like, it's a big workplace issue, right? Like, so when I met you at the Goldman Sachs conference, I was like, wow, enlighten me. How do I teach my mom to lighten up?
This is a problem I've dealt with everybody I know, and I have a solution. Once I make this film and people have this film in front of them, I promise their perspective about tattoos will change. And my film is about people who change their own bodies because of a scar that they have or something that they have on their body that they want to look at in a different way. The whole film was inspired out of my perception of tattoos being wrong because I was Jewish and that was what I was taught. And I just believed what I was taught.
We got a lot of unpacking here.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining. You all know I'm Wendy Wollner. This is your job now. We're talking about tattoos. So Elise, why don't you jump in and tell us who you are and why I'm so excited to talk to you today.
So I'm Elise Jaffe. I'm the owner and executive producer of Big Teeth Productions. We're a production company in Chicago. And I've been producing for 27 years, all different types of content. But I started my company almost 20 years ago. And in 2018, we were approached to bid on a job with a hair care brand out of London who was raising money for breast cancer research. But they designed one hair straightener. There was going to be a tattoo artist who was going to create the actual design that would be on that straightener. And a certain percentage of those sales were going directly to breast cancer research.
Oh, I'm getting it now. I'm getting the vibe here. I'm getting it. Okay.
So the artist happened to be in Chicago. And even though the company was in London, they were coming to Chicago to film with him. So they reached out to production companies here. And as soon as we saw this land on our desk, I was like, this is a project I want to do. I have not had anyone in my immediate family die of breast cancer, but I have had a lot of people I know either go through treatment or have passed away. So I knew that this was something really interesting and important. And as a Jewish person, I was like, oh, and tattoos,
Let me
I'm not
stop you
sure.
there just to interject. For those of you listening, you know that I'm also Jewish. And just a point of clarification, it's the idea of not scarring your body is right.
There's actually one verse in Leviticus 19:28, and I can't remember the exact, I should know this, but it's like, Thou shalt not make markings upon thy skin and whatever in any way.
We have the tattoos that the survivors, anyone that went to a death camp or a concentration camp, the numbers. So tattoos have a lot of unpacking to do, right? We've got the religious unpacking.
Yeah, Jews are not the only ones that have religious
That's
stigmas.
exactly right. Then we have the unconscious bias thing where we see a tattooed person, we're like, druggie.
Yeah, gang member.
Which is why I thought the conversation would be, if I want you to talk directly to the leader or manager at a company, organization, hospital, school, and their employee says, I'm going to get my 29th tattoo, or I'm going to get my first tattoo. What should the manager say or do?
I think that, first of all, everybody's decision to do to their bodies is their own, right? But the fact that tattoos are scrutinized in workplaces and that people think they're not going to get jobs because of it is awful. I would ask about it. What tattoo are you getting and why? Because there's a story behind every tattoo.
That's your word, right? There's a story behind every tattoo.
There's a story behind every tattoo, yeah.
How would you respond to that tattoo is art?
Tattoos are definitely art. There are tattoo artists that are designing them. And a lot of people will say that your body is the canvas for the artist. A lot of people are anti the idea of your body being considered a canvas. I mean, I would think that most tattoo artists actually embody the idea of being an artist. They're creating something, even if they're copying a design or something like that. There is skill and artistic ability that is involved in this, right? And what's art to somebody is not art to someone else. And like in the kind of tattoos we're talking about in my film, there's an art therapy angle to it as well. Like we have art therapists that are in the film talking about using tattoos as a means for healing. So if art therapists consider it a way to heal and they're focusing on art, then that's an even more of a thumbs up for it being considered art.
So, and that's why you did the documentary, to really educate people on the skill and the art of tattooing. Is that right?
Yeah, so I made the film to really change people's perspectives on tattoos and see them as a form of healing for people. And what was really interesting as I went down the path of learning about this, like about tattoos in general, is that tattoos have been used for healing since the beginning of time, or since the beginning that we've ever seen a tattooed person, a mummy or a Otzi, this Iceman that was found in the Andes, they have been used for healing. So this is not a new concept. And this is way before people thought, oh, they're just for sailors, they're just for gang members, they're just for branding, like, who owns me? But then they've gotten this bad reputation, and then it kind of has come back. And so the history of tattooing is very interesting. And I didn't want to make a film about that, but there's certainly part of that history that's really important for this film. I wanted to make a film for people who are physically scarred by trauma or illness and have something on their body that they look at in the mirror and they don't feel whole and they don't feel right. And they want to turn that into something that they see as beautiful. And there are tattoo artists that specialize in this kind of work, and they have that artistic ability. They have this skill because it's not easy to work on scars, and you have to know how to work on scars. You can't just go to any artist and assume they're going to be able to do it. And they also have this empathy and this ability to listen, because if you think about it, I assume that you don't have any tattoos, but maybe I shouldn't assume. So when you're sitting in the chair or on the table being tattooed, especially if you have trauma, especially if you have a scar, something's going to be unlocked.
Yep.
And that artist has to be prepared and be trauma informed enough to be able to listen and know when to interject or when to be there. And not every tattoo artist has that.
I think that's the answer, is that, we're doing this to heal. That this is a healing arts form, whether it be, the Japanese art form of kintsugi, or whether there be so many healing art forms. This is one healing art form. So it sounds to me like what you're saying to the leader or the manager is, you've got an unconscious bias, you got to recognize it, and you got to talk about it.
Yep. So many people have unconscious bias. Like when I say what I'm making a film about, people will be like, or, ooh, I'm really interested. Like there's such a
divide,
visceral response to it. Yeah. And like from my family, I've been working on the film for almost 6 years, and I've seen sort of their ideas and thoughts about tattoos transform. And I got my first tattoo while working on this film, and I could tell that my mom was like, oh no. And then I just had some work done on the tattoo to kind of enhance it with one of the artists from my film. And I showed my mom in December. She's like, oh my God, it's beautiful. And so that's one person that already has their perspective changed, I always say that it's sort of that, like, women in their 50s to 60s probably that were like raised as like, okay, I'm going to do what my parents told. I don't want to isolate women, but I do think that a lot of it is a female thing. Oh, we're good girls and we do what our parents tell us and we're not challenging. And today's generation, because I have a teenager, there's a lot of like pushback of, but why? And wanting to understand. And I don't think my generation did that. It was, okay, I get it. This is what we're supposed to believe. And so it's having us sort of think about why and how. And it's interesting because as a Jew, that's what we're told to do, is question and take a phrase from the Torah and interpret it in all different ways. And yet people aren't doing that with this one phrase. So it's been a very interesting journey for me over the past 6 years.
I love it. So drum roll, when can we expect it to come out?
So the film is called Unscarred, and the website is unscarredfilm.com. So one of the stories in our film is about a woman named Shalik who, at the age of 16, had a flesh-eating bacteria that ended up causing her to have a mastectomy and shoulder surgery where she lost a lot of her skin, and she's been scarred since then. And in her 30s decided that she wanted to get a tattoo to cover it. So it's been an incredible experience getting to know her and watching her transform throughout this process. I hope it will be done this year, but
okay, fingers crossed.
The problem with making a documentary when you own a production company is it is all based on grants and donations. And we have done this whole film for a fraction of the original budget that I anticipated because we just didn't have the donations, and we still need money to finish it. Right now, we can work on it when we have the time, but a lot of the things we're doing at this point are out-of-pocket costs. So my company internally can't do it. It's the color work, it's the music and the scoring. And so I have great relationships with people that are helping me to get it done no matter what.
At least you talk bootstrapping. You're bootstrapping.
Yeah.
So we will go ahead and put a link if you feel like supporting Elise and you feel like supporting the work. That would be great. We'll put a link in the podcast. I think most importantly is that I think I have better talking points for my mom and my any bosses or leaders out there. So it was great meeting you, Elise, and thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for listening to This Is Your Job Now, produced by me, Kai. If this episode made you think or made you feel, we hope it also made you realize you don't have to figure this out all alone. Leadership today is about presence, not perfection. To learn more, follow Wendy Wollner on LinkedIn, subscribe to Balancing Life's Issues on YouTube, or stream the podcast wherever you listen. Because if you're leading people, this is your job now. Anything else to add, Miles?
Yeah.